It's the same thing. I talk to kids in bands who are very passionate about it, and they get something out of it every night. And they may not make the money yet, but it doesn't mean that they don't still do it. I never had a backup plan. I never chased a college degree or tried to go out of my way to have something to fall back on, because I knew what I wanted to do. And if I was going to have to work a 24/7 job to do it, I was going to. But I went with it, and I went all the way with it. And I think maybe I'm naive, but the reality is this. If you follow the path of least resistance, where you discover what you're good at, and you go with that, the love, the passion, the drive, the career will open up for you, instead of chasing something that you're just not that good at. And it's like beating your hands against a wall. The wall is going to win. At 9 times out of 10, the wall is going to destroy your hand. You may be like, oh, I'll be back. It's still going to break your fucking hand. But you turn that around and you use that energy, that same drive, to follow your dream in a different realm, basically. And you follow that dream of what you're good at and what you have a real talent for. It's going to turn around, and it's all going to come back to you. People ask me if I thought about going back to school, and I'm like, fuck no. If I didn't do well then, could you imagine how bad I would be as a stubborn 37-year-old asshole, being like, go fuck yourself. No, this is what I was built to do, I was lucky. I knew early on what I wanted to do. Some people it takes a little time to figure out what they have a talent for and figure out what they can do and do it well, It might be as minimal as math or figures, or it could be as incredible as healing people, But you find it. You take the time to find it. You have the responsibility to find it to yourself. Because in 20 years, you don't want to be that sullen, irritating asshole that didn't get to where he wanted to be in life. He might have taken the different route, He's like, well, and that's all you really fucking hear, because you don't want to, he's the guy at the pub you don't want to sit next to. He's just like, ugh, and then you're just like, fucking shut up, There's nothing worse than that. And honestly, you invariably feel pity, because they're not fulfilled in any other way except complaining about the things that could have been. And I'm not saying that there's something to be taken from pursuing the things that you love. I mean, obviously, there's a rich enjoyment that comes out of it. But this is realistic. This is pragmatic. This is following what you were built to do. Now, everybody has it. Everybody has a talent. Everybody in this fucking room has something that they were built to do. And I'll be damned if I would let anyone challenge them. You have to find it in yourself. You have to have the confidence. You have to have the strength to find it in yourself. You also have to have the fuck you attitude of not letting anyone tell you what you can and can't do. But at the end of the day, everyone has an inherent talent. And if you follow that, there are 25 years of your life that you can follow and then see what happens. There's nothing that says that you can't continue to do what you love. But when it comes to your life, which can be very long if you make the wrong decisions, when it comes to the rest of your life, you need to find what you're good at and who you are. It doesn't have to define you. It doesn't have to be the only definition that you have. But it's something very important, and we all have it. We are all individuals on this planet. And I think a lot of the reasons that we butt heads, or there's so much negativity in the world, is because we don't look at things realistically anymore. I think a lot of the things that we butt heads about is because we have such differences of opinion, such differences about how we each live our lives. But I think if we narrowed it down and we found that one thing that we do really well, we would see that. We would feel it in the reactions of other people around us. And that would lead to something else. It could explode, it could blossom. And it would lead to a better disposition. It would lead to a happier disposition. It would lead to a life where you're not miserable 24/7. Some people in this room may be studying to be something that they didn't choose. It was your parents. Maybe it was what was expected to be in your family. You come from a long line of doctors. You come from a long line of lawyers. But at the end of the day, if you're only doing that because of the family legacy, if that's the only reason, you're setting yourself up for failure. I promise you that. There's nothing worse than seeing someone living someone else's life. It's like being in a terrible sequel to a movie you didn't want to watch in the first fucking place. I'm not saying that you should just drop it. You know, you may have a talent for it, and you may not know you have a talent for it. But at the end of the day, if you're only doing it because of someone else's expectations, you're not going to be happy. And you should allow yourself a short moment of discomfort to get out of that situation and follow the better path. If you allow yourself a short moment of confrontation, of truthfulness to yourself, once that is over, you can figure it out. You can turn that energy into something that you want to do, that you're good at. And time will fly. Time flies, but the time is relative. It's relative as hell. Imagine 20 years of doing something that you just cannot fucking stand. You're gonna feel like a vampire. It's like, you're gonna feel like you're 400 years old, stuck in an existence that you didn't want in the first place. Whereas, if you discover something that you're made to do, you're gonna turn around and you'll be 40. You'll be like, holy shit. Now you've got a family. Now you've got all of these things. You've got all these rewards. You've got everything that you've achieved. And you can turn around and go, you know what? I'd made the right decision. And I'm happy as hell. I'm 37 years old. I've toured the world. I've been able to make every drop of music that I've ever wanted to do. Because I never limited myself. I never set a limitation on myself. You know? The only way you know is by going out and trying. So maybe I've made some strange choices when it comes to some music or some lyrics. But at the end of the day, I've lived it. At the end of the day, I did my best to try it, you know? At the end of the day, I've left nothing on the table. But it took me years to get comfortable. But I took the years because I knew I was good at it. I took the time to know that I was good at it. I put the work in, and I've been rewarded beyond. The only thing I can say, and just wrapping up, is that if I would have kind of, bit the bullet, tried to go down that route of being a teacher, I would not, well, first I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't be happy, you know? I can read about history, I can study history all I want. That passion's never gone away. But because I was honest enough to figure out what I wanted to do and what my talents were, what my real talents were, I got a lot of those roadblocks out of my way. And here I am, you know, achieved more than I could ever imagine. And I'm still hungry, still looking for things to do, still looking for ways to achieve what I was built to do. So don't limit yourself. Don't limit yourself by immediately going for what you love. Some people are very lucky. The thing they love is what they're also good at. But some people, they have more passion than talent. And you have to be realistic enough to admit to yourself, would I rather fail doing something I love, or would I rather achieve something by following my natural talent and having a life? Not the short term. That's a life. Think about that. There's nothing short about life. And that's where I'll leave you. Thank you very much for having me. Thank you for listening to me.